during this webinar. If you have any questions, chat them in the chat box. Ashley and Shakak can definitely help out. Otherwise, I can go ahead and answer any questions you might have as well. For those of you that are on the call here, if you haven't used Blue Moon and Rent Cafe, we're going to go through from start to finish and show everybody how the systems communicate with each other and how it works. For those of you that already have used Rent Cafe and Blue Moon, you're going to see some new implementation that we're going to be rolling out here, as well as some new SOP that we're going to be requiring regarding how to save the leases, so on and so forth. So there will be new information for you. So we're going to go ahead and actually just get started on the Rent Cafe website, and this is going to kind of show you how the prospect interacts with the website and how they go ahead and apply for the apartment home. And we just want to make sure that everybody sees that so they understand what the prospect is looking at, and if there's any coaching opportunities, you'll be able to see it on this end as well. So we essentially are starting off on the Rent Cafe page where the availability is located. And we're going to, once the prospect has decided what they want to lease, they're going to be able to see it in real time. If there's no availability, they'll be able to contact you or go on a wait list. And if there is availability, you can see that the button will give them the option to click on the availability. And then they can select from units available. And then it's just going to require basic move-in information, such as the move-in date and lease term. And then it's as simple as clicking Start Application from here. And they'll go ahead and enter an email address. Now, the password is going to require up to 10 characters, one of them uppercase. You're going to have a symbol and some numerical values involved as well. Oops. Here we go. And then there's going to be a CAPTCHA option here to go ahead and select that they are not a robot. In some cases, that they may actually have to do an actual test where they have to determine items on a picture. So we didn't actually see that this time, but they may have to go through that, and then they do actually have to click that they've read and accept the terms and conditions, which will pop up. And then they're going to go ahead and click Register. So now, in looking at this, one area of opportunity is on the upper right-hand corner. We're going to see where your phone number is located, as well as where the option to email you is located. So if at any point in time the prospect were to get frustrated or not necessarily understand what they're doing or need any kind of help, the opportunity to reach out to you is readily available throughout the entire process. So if you have the opportunity to talk to them over the phone while you're leasing to them, go ahead and let them know that. And then they'll be able to see their progress on the upper left-hand corner in terms of where they are through the application process. And then we want to make sure we're letting them know to fill out all the fields to its entirety. And this is just really going to help everybody in case there's missing information that you have to seek out. And just to help them in general. There's a couple screens they'll go through here. Anything with an asterisk next to it is required information, so they'll have to fill that out. All right. And we'll see in some cases when they click on the drop-down menu, information may be required. So in the event that they are employed, job title, employment, and monthly income, as well as employer information will now be required, whereas if they were retired, this information is no longer required. There we go. And once again, we just want to show everybody how the data entry process works here. So I appreciate your patience as I go through this. And then there may be requirements determining how long they've been at their job as to whether or not they need to list their previous employment information. Date of birth will automatically populate based on the information that they entered initially. And there is an option if there is no social security number to go ahead and just click no on the drop-down menu, which will no longer require the social security number field. And then they're going to let you know if they have or have not been evicted, if they have or have not been convicted of a felony, and if there are any pending charges. And then there's an opportunity for them to explain the situation below each option there. There are two boxes they'll have to check right here, and one of them is just terms and conditions for Yardi and Rent Cafe, and then the other one is just acknowledging by submitting the application all the information is true, and they realize that they'll be paying an application fee at the end of this process. For pet information, there's a nice warning here that if you do have breed restrictions at your community, this kind of encompasses that information. They'll click yes if they have a pet, and they can add additional pets here. And same thing with vehicles. If they have additional vehicles, there's an option to add up to 4 additional vehicles here. So pretty simple right there. We'll go ahead and click no pets for right now. I know a lot of you are teasing me about my Batman references here. All right. And then they'll go ahead and enter their emergency contact information. And then save and continue. So now they'll have the opportunity to add any occupants under the age of 18. So it's just as simple as clicking add occupant, and they'll be able to add. On the Blue Moon page, they can have up to 3. I don't know that there's a limit here. And when you're done, you'll just click continue. And this is going to take you to the Blue Moon application. Now, here we're going to see it pulls up the NAA application. So you all are working in the TAA application market, so we want to go ahead and show you what that looks like. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you really quickly what the application looks like, as well as your actual workflow. So your application is going to look similar to this. You're going to have your About You section where the applicant is going to fill out detailed information about themselves, as well as their work and previous employer information. We have the credit history, and then an area that encompasses rental or criminal history here. Then we have spouse information if applicable, occupants up to 3 if applicable on here, vehicle information, why you rented here, emergency contact information, and then an authorization to go ahead and allow you to do what you need to do on your end. And then on page 2 is going to encompass some lease information that they're going to want to be aware of, including the property name, late fee structure, how you accept pets, your notice termination, applicant agreement. Basically the fundamentals of your lease. And then an option for them to sign, leave a phone number, and then any emergency medical information can be listed here. Oh, I'm sorry. An option to list your doctor, emergency medical information, and then you can actually sign a date. So that's kind of the flow of the lease there, or the application, I apologize. And if we look on your end, on the TAA actual application, the flow of what you go through in Blue Moon is going to look similar to that. So we had a question. Once again, feel free to ask any questions in the chat box. We have 2 other people that can definitely help me out. Otherwise, I can definitely stop at any point in time and help you out. So feel free to ask any questions you might have right off the bat. I appreciate you asking. So we're just going to quickly go through the application aspect on your end, what you're going to see when the applicant actually fills out the application. And then we're going to go back in and check out the NAA lease and just see how the actual flow goes through from Blue Moon on their end. So the About You section, once again, is going to look very similar to what we saw in the application regarding the name, address, driver's license, social security, birth date, height, weight, sex, eye color, basically all the pertinent information from the application. And then there's a second part on your screen. It's just going to be longer, where it's just going to continue the information for the applicant. And it's going to go through previous home address. And then under the work section here, we're going to see present employer and previous employer, so they'll have the opportunity to enter that information, and this is how it's going to show on your end. And then their credit history information, so their bank name, city, state, major credit cards, and then non-work work income they want considered. And then there's blocks below. If they have any credit history issues, they can actually explain it in that box so you can see it. And then we have the rental criminal history. So basically the questionnaire: have you been evicted, moved out before your lease term ended, bankruptcy, sued for rent, sued for property damage, and then convicted of specific criminal activity. And then as we move back up to the top right-hand side of the application, we have the spouse's information that they can enter, including their past employer. We have other occupants, up to 3 on this end that they can enter, and information that they'll need there. And then we have vehicle information that they can go ahead and enter for any vehicles that they'll have on property. And then why you rented here is going to give you the option, give them the option of listing anybody that may have referred them for referral purposes, and then how they heard about you for your own advertising purposes. And then we'll have our emergency contact where you can list emergency contact information and then specify what happens if there's a serious health issue. And then the actual application agreement, it's just going to list all that stuff we saw on the second page there. And then emergency info, once again, for a potential doctor that you might want to have contacted, along with any medical information they want to release. And then contemplated lease contract. So we have the list of resident names who are actually going to sign the contract, your information regarding the community, a list of occupants that are not going to sign the lease contract, total number of resident occupants, necessary consent for guests. It's just going to specify necessary consent for guests staying longer than 5 days, the beginning of your lease contract, end date, total days for lease termination, security deposit, and your pet deposit. And then the second part of your contemplated lease contract is going to go over keys, rent to be where you can pay your rent, prorated rent, your late fee structure, animal violation charges, basically so on and so forth, just a truncated version of the lease that they'll be signing. And then there'll be an area for the owner rep or agent for the owner to go ahead and sign. And then there's an office use area that's just going to have information that's pertinent to you qualifying the actual application. So not too many differences between the TAA and NAA lease, but we definitely want to make sure that you see what's going on your end here before we go through this. So the applicant will be in the Blue Moon area right here. Now they're going to go ahead and enter that data that you'll see on the fields that I showed you there. Another important thing to let your prospect know is they have 20 minutes to fill out their application. If they don't fill it out inside of that time frame, it will time out, and then they'll lose all of the data entry they did there. So we want to make sure that they're aware of what's going on. So let's go ahead and work our way through this pretty quickly here. And once again, you can kind of see how the flow works regarding what they're filling at, what we just saw. And information they have entered will generate over to the Blue Moon lease, so they don't have to do dual entry in most cases. And then once they've actually completed their data entry on their end, they're going to go ahead and click that they've accepted the terms and applicant agreement, which they can click on here to access. they'll go ahead and type in their name as a form of signature. And then if the spouse is there, they'll have the opportunity to do it on the field below. And once again, doctor information or medical information along with any medical issues that they might want to divulge. And then their email address will automatically pop in. They'll have to re-enter their phone number. And then we'll have one last opportunity to enter any comments or information that they might want you to see. And when they're done, they're going to go ahead and click Send Application Now. And from here, they'll click Continue. They have an option of clicking What is Blue Moon to kind of explain. They had the option now, and they had the option before they actually filled out their application. So if they have any questions on that, they also have resources on their end. They'll click Continue here. And this is now going to bring them to the payment section here. So we'll be able to see what the charge amount is and what fees are being charged. And then they're going to go ahead and enter their bank account information here. And it's going to look as such here. And there is an example of a check, so if they have any questions, they'll be able to refer to the check image on the right-hand side here. So once they've entered their bank name, their routing information, confirmed it, their account number, and confirmed their account number, they'll select what type of account it is, and then once they're ready to go, they'll click Proceed with Payment here. They'll have one more opportunity to see what they're paying and what account they're paying it from, as well as an opportunity to change that information if they need to. Otherwise, they just need to click I agree to the terms and conditions and then submit payment when they're ready to go. And then they'll have an opportunity here to go ahead and print out their confirmation number and information as well. So at this point in time, on their end, they have their confirmation, they've submitted their application, and at this point in time on your end, you should see via email a payment confirmation email as well as an application confirmation email. So Rent Cafe is communicating with both of you at this point in time, and you'll be able to see what's going on. And then, Shaka, if you're ready, we can go ahead and address the duplicate prospect. I can go ahead and turn over controls when you're ready.
Yes, sounds good. Please do so.
Perfect. So Shaka is going to go ahead and show us what happens if the prospect has already registered at another community.
Yep. And let me know when you see my screen.
There we go.
Okay, great. So what I'm trying to demonstrate here is show you that if a person is already registered at a community and they go in and they apply for a different community, it could be within Steadfast, so one community from one community to different community within Steadfast, or they may be using the Rent Cafe system at some other company and now they want to apply for your apartment. So what that means is that they already have a Rent Cafe account because they, completed the application with another community, be it with Steadfast or not. And that's what I'm going to show you what happens in that case. So first, I'll show you that I applied at Test Villages at Spring Hill. This is our test property, and I already have an account with this community. I'm going to show you that, but just quickly log in here. So here's my account. I'm logged in and I filled out my form. I also completed my Blue Moon application, as you can see on the left-hand side, and now I'm on my charges page. And at this point, I decide that I don't want to rent this community anymore. Instead, I want to apply for the Richland Hills property. So I keep saying Richland Hills. It's Richland Falls. I'm sorry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up that property's website. And this is, I'm pulling the link here, but they will have the direct link. So they'll see the website. This is Richland Falls, and this is where I want to apply. So they select a floor plan. Got some availability here at for Fall Creek. I'll select an apartment. And I'm happy with this move-in date, lease term, rent amount, and I click Start Application. At this point, remember that I already have an account with Village at Spring Hill, and this is going to be my another account. And if I register here, the system, you probably would think that could create a duplicate, but it does not. So what happens is, as soon as I'm going to type in my email address, it's going to say, welcome back. Your account is already associated with the community. So it just asks me to go ahead and enter the password. When I do that, it asks me to check that I'm not a robot. These couple of things you have to do. It's more like security things. So, and then you click login. Okay, so the record, so this is because I entered a different name when I was registering yesterday, but what I really want to show you here is when I click next, it lets me fill out the information for Richland Falls, and it's the same account as we have on the Voyager site. So basically it does not create a duplicate. It links two accounts, and you have one login for both the communities, and you can go ahead and use the same login to apply for a different community without having a duplicate created in Voyager. Let me know if you have any questions about it. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And once again, use the chat box if you have any questions. That's a fantastic new feature that we have there that's going to help us out quite a bit.
Justin, just for one more moment, I quickly want to show if your prospect wants to toggle back to their Villages at Spring Hill property, they click on their name and there's My Accounts here. When I click that page, it shows me a multi-profile page that is, that lets me continue with either of the two properties.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, this is also something, it's called a multi-profile page. And same thing, if the person was a resident at Villages at Spring Hill, they can actually also, a second, I think I clicked back. Or forward, yeah, here you go. If the person is a resident at Villages at Spring Hill and they want to apply for a unit at Richland Hills, it's going to be the same thing. They will see a resident account here instead of application, and then an option to apply for Richland Falls. So either way, two prospect accounts or one resident, one prospect, or two resident accounts, they can just simply click on their name here and switch profiles.
Okay, perfect. Perfect, perfect. See, you learn something every day.
Great.
All right. All right, perfect. So after the applicant has gone ahead and submitted their payment and their application on your end, when you're looking at Yardi, the fastest way to access an application is through your pending applications hyperlink on your dashboard. And the only reason they wouldn't end up here is if for any reason they were to have selected a waitlist, in which case they'll either show up in your prospect pipeline or on waitlist. So we'll be able to go ahead and find our prospect here, and you can see that the agent has listed his portal, so you know it's coming through your Rent Cafe portal. And this you're gonna be familiar with. This is your typical leasing workflow in Yardi. So you know that you can click screening, depending on when you actually screen your prospect, and all the information is going to pull in according to what they've entered. And then you can just work through your workflow here. And then we'll go ahead, once the application is actually approved, according to your workflow in your community there, we'll click Approve. And now we have the option to actually log into Blue Moon to go ahead and create the lease for our prospect here. This is going to be another area where I'm clicking on Blue Moon, and I'm going to show you your actual area. Once again, we only have the test site for the NAA lease, but it's going to pull up like this, and all the information is going to automatically populate, which is going to save you a lot of data entry. For our Texas properties, you're going to see this. Your workflow is going to look more closely to what you're seeing here. So you've got your lease terms, including resident information, lease terms, and your security deposit information. If you have a student lease, you've got student lease information here. We've got your other charges, which will also include your keys. And you want to be going through and be very detailed when you're going through this and making sure that the information that generated from Rent Cafe to Yardi and now Blue Moon is all correct on your end, because ultimately you'll be printing your lease off of this. See copies and attachments under attachments, your animal addendum information, lead hazard, bedbug addendum, your early lease term, and make sure that your termination fee is entered. You've got an asterisk here, so if it's not entered, it will not allow you to actually print the lease when you go to do that. You've got your natural gas, services, government fees, basically your location addenda. Miscellaneous addenda, including resident name, electronic payment, enclosed garage information, legal description if necessary, move out, no smoking, patio, satellite dish, trash removal, and then weapon information. You've got your gate access information as well as costs for that. Electric, water, and wastewater. Rent concession information. Intrusion alarm. Additional special provisions, if necessary, you can add additional information here. Renter's insurance. Guarantor information. Summary of key information. Including student housing lease. And then your custom miscellaneous form if you use Energize at your community there. So that's what the TAA lease is going to look like. Yours is a little bit different from the NAA lease, but once again, we wanted you to take a look at that and see how that works. So once it pulls over, or once you pull over from Yardy to Blue Moon, you'll go ahead and see what information is carried over. So we're just going to work through this pretty quickly so we don't go through it again. Here we go. So this is an example of, in some cases, where the information might not pull over or you might need to enter it. Okay. And I always suggest using the Save button frequently. And you'll work your way through. Once you've gotten to the bottom, you'll save once again. And then when you're ready to actually view or preview the lease, you'll click on View Print Menu here. So you're going to see here what is required of your initial lease, as well as options if you need to add them. In some cases, you have the ability to add them. If you need any of these required leases altered or changed for any reason, Ashley will go over the help desk procedure, so you can go ahead and request that if necessary. Otherwise, you have the option to go ahead and click Preview here. And we want to make sure you're going through and taking a clear look at what's going on. Now, for the TAA lease, you don't have what's called clicks, so you're not spending money on clicks, which is good. But we still want to make sure that the lease is clear and absolutely correct. So always preview your lease, always go through it, because if you notice an issue, this gives you an option to go ahead and click on Return to Editor to go ahead and go back and make any corrections you might have. Otherwise, when you're ready to go, and once you've noticed there are no issues and you agree with the forms that you'll be printing out here, you're going to go ahead and click Print Selected Forms. But before you do that, you want to make sure that this Request e-Signature box is clicked on here. This is going to give you the capability of going ahead and emailing the lease to your residents, either your future residents or current residents, and having the option of having them sign it digitally, which is going to save paper, time, and effort on everybody's part here. So we're going to click on Request e-Signature and then Print Selected Forms. And then from here, you're going to enter your information. And we want to make sure we verify the resident's email address so they actually get quick access to the email confirmation as well as the lease that they're going to see. And then you're going to click Initiate e-Signature Request. And then this is just going to give you some general information here. And we're going to give it just a quick second for it to come through on my email. And both the resident and the leasing consultant or team member should see an email that kind of looks like this, and it's going to show you the order of the electronic signature and just get you some information there. Usually they see this pretty quickly, and then just after that, the email that allows you to actually sign should come through. All right, so we'll close this guy out here. And just so you know, I did this I don't know how many times. I'm always tempted to click on this first link without actually reading. We want to make sure that everybody is aware that to proceed with the e-signature process, they click on this hyperlink here. And this is what's actually going to lead them to the e-signature process. And this is a really innovative platform. Makes it really easy for the resident to use. There's a consumer disclosure that they'll read. They have to scroll through it. They can't just click I agree. So if they're asking you what's going on there, you have to let them know that they actually have to scroll through it and then click I agree. And then they'll click I understand, continue. They'll go ahead and type in their name and their initials. Now, just so you know, they have the option to sign or type. If they click on sign, if they're using an iPad or a touchscreen device, they'll have the ability to sign their name in the actual signature box and their initials in the initial box. Otherwise, they can click type, and it will automatically produce a signature and initial box for them as well. And it will confirm the date that they're signing. And they'll click save and continue. And then just next, once they've taken a look at this information, and it's going to give them just a quick tutorial on what's going on, where they're signing, and just a quick opportunity to go ahead and understand how this process works before they get started. And then they'll be able to see their lease in real time. They'll scroll through and read. And it's very clear where they need to sign. It's as simple as just clicking on the box and then next. And they're essentially going to work their way through your lease and your addenda. We'll just work our way through these leases pretty quickly here. In some cases, you may notice a date, in which case, once again, they just click and it will enter the specified date. Almost done here. And we can see how much, once again, how awesome this is in terms of not having to print out 20 and 30 pieces of paper for both them and you, unless they want it, and they can specify that. And I'll show you where they can do that. All right, so final acknowledgments. There's a checkbox here. I want to receive a printed copy of my lease contract. So it looks like it always remains checked. They have the option of unchecking it if they want to. Otherwise, if they want a copy, they'll just leave the box checked. And just know that all of the people that have signed will be emailed a signed PDF once all parties have completed the signing of their documents. And once they're done, so Brandy asked, can they request an electronic copy? And that was a great question. It's automatically going to go out. So no matter what, once the team member has executed the document on their end, everybody's going to get an electronic copy. Great question. But they can choose if they want to actually receive a printed copy by clicking the checkbox. So from here, we'll click Complete My Lease Contract. And basically you're finished. It'll let them know that they're finished, give them some document receipt information if necessary, and they are done on their end. For you, what did I do here? Let's see. Is this the right one? I have way too many screens open. Perfect. All right. So once the signature has been successfully completed, you're going to receive an email that you're going to receive an email that looks like this or this one right here. Basically, an email that confirms that the resident has signed the lease, which is going to then prompt you to go into Blue Moon. And then you're going to click My e-signatures here. And once you've clicked My Manage e-signatures, we're going to go ahead and see them pull into the queue here. We're going to see signing parties, and then we have either the option to execute, or for any reason you needed to, you can click Delete on the drop-down menu here and delete it. Otherwise, when you're ready to execute, you're just going to click on Execute here. And then you're going to get the go to go ahead and execute the package. Now, if they requested a physical copy, you'll see it here. It'll say resident requests a physical copy. So that's where it's going to notify you on your end if they want that. Otherwise, this process works much faster for the team member. You can literally just type in your full name and initials, and then you click Execute Lease Now, and then confirm you want to do so, electronically sign. You'll get a confirmation notice here, and then it will also confirm that you've signed it. Now, you're going to get an email, and the resident is going to get an email with the executed lease, and it's going to look like this. And if we want to, let me close. We want to scroll down here. We're going to go ahead and see where the representative is signed and then that the resident signed. And you've got your e-signature ID, so this is going to confirm that this lease is fully executed from here. And you'll see your information all throughout. So you didn't have to click through like the resident did, which will save you some time. Now, once you've done that, you've got one additional new step, which is going to be first to save this lease to somewhere that's easily accessible. I typically suggest your desktop. And then the next thing you're going to do is after you've executed your lease, you now have the ability to go ahead and execute it in Yardi. And now we have the option to save that PDF and attach it to the resident's account through Yardi. So if we click on Data, Attachment, once again, that's Data, Attachment, and we click on Upload, we're going to then have the option, we can browse up to 3 files at one time. We just need to click on Browse here and find the lease that you need to attach. Click Upload. And then it will say Successfully Uploaded. So we can actually close out of here if we want to. And then one final step, under Web Links, we want to go ahead and check this box here and then just click Save. And that is it. From there, you have gone through the entire process of leasing, signing the lease, and uploading it to Yardi in terms of archiving it from start to finish there. Ashley is going to go ahead and jump in here and just mention a couple new resources you have. And Ashley, I'll go ahead and let you take the floor here.
Okay, sounds good. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? We're good? Okay. So I just wanted to go over a couple things. One being the most common error that I see properties run into when it comes to the e-signature. I get a lot of requests that say, hey, the e-signature box is grayed out, I can't press it, I can't request it, it's not set up, something like that. Pretty much, I'd say 99% of the time, it's because the lease start date is in the past. You can't request an e-signature for a lease if the lease start date is in the past. So if that happens, just double check that, and then just know that Blue Moon won't let you do that. The other new development that we have that I'm super excited about is we've created a ticket system for all of your Blue Moon related requests. So in the same way that you submit an IT ticket, you can now submit a Blue Moon ticket. So you'll just pick Blue Moon from the dropdown. So you'll use this anytime you need something changed in the default lease. Maybe you need some different addenda to print than what's currently printing. I know I already got one request in the chat box for a change to the default lease. So now you'll be able to submit a ticket for that, and we can put it through the appropriate approval channel, whether it be the regional, legal, whoever needs to approve it. And then the other thing, though, is if you're receiving some kind of problem, maybe with the connectivity between Blue Moon and Yardi, you're getting some kind of error when you press that Blue Moon button in Yardi, then you'll submit a Yardi help desk ticket. Yardi still handles that link between Blue Moon and Yardi, but if it's a Blue Moon related thing, then you'll submit a Blue Moon help desk ticket. So that's all that I have, but if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's in the chat box or after the call as well. I'm here to answer them for you. So I'll give it back to you, Jeff.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much.